In her freshman year of high school, Danielle took a speech class where she had to debate for pro-capital punishment. In 4 years of high school, Danielle had to persuade a class of 500 peers to vote for her as the student government secretary. In recent years, Danielle has convinced builders and architects to give her a chance professionally, being a young female interior designer in a competitive market. These experiences with persuasive speaking have helped Danielle speak her mind, share her opinion, and gain business. Danielle is just starting her first advanced manual, but skipping ahead slightly in order to speak about a topic that has been brewing in her head for quite some time. Of course, it has been controversial through the media, politics, the workplace, and society as a whole. Speech 4 out of the Persuasive Speaking Manual calls for addressing the opposition, persuading the audience to accept or consider a controversial subject with logical and emotional viewpoints. Danielle's speech is titled, "America, Are You Seeing What I'm Seeing?" The speech time is 7 to 9 minutes with 2 to 3 minutes of questions and answers, so be prepared to ask questions. Please welcome Danielle.
This is going to be gutsy.
Resilient, hardworking, independent, and brave. Immigrants, the people that left their countries for a reason to live in the United States of America. Approximately 14% of our population consists of the foreign-born, about 51% of that being female. Less than 1 in 5 immigrants commits a crime in the United States. Immigrants are experiencing homeownership at a faster rate than US-born citizens. The children of immigrants are attending college and are more likely to than the US-born. In 2010, over 40% of all 500 Fortune companies were owned by immigrants and their children. In my business, over 60% of my labor consists of immigrants. Several of my friends are immigrants. I am marrying an immigrant. Immigrants are the foundation of this country. America, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Today I'm going to share with you the story of 4 incredible immigrants that I know. I'm not able to start with anyone other than the person I'm going to marry because he is one of the first immigrants that I became close to. And when I learned his story, it made me fall in love with him. JP came to the United States when he was 27 years old. He is now 39. He grew up in Santiago, Chile, the capital of Chile, which consists of 7 million people. He grew up upper middle class, totally different from myself. He had a stay-at-home mom, a nanny, and a maid. He grew up in private schools. He had English class, failed English. He moved on to go to college for 5 years and was living his dream being a personal trainer in a very successful gym, making great money. When he was 26, he decided to shake up his life. He was ready for a challenge and an adventure. He decided to move to the United States of America. When he got here, of course, he knew no English. So in order to get a job, he had to take English classes during the day, which sometimes he was taking 2 classes a day. And then he was working at night as a busboy, a job where you weren't required to speak. The way that he described him coming to this country was, I was somebody in Chile. I was nobody when I came here until I learned the language. He worked at a gym for 5 years and became successful enough to save up cash and pay for his own gym, and 5 years ago he became an entrepreneur. As an immigrant, this is a huge deal. What makes me so proud of JP is that at his fitness studio, there are 9 countries represented in his clientele. And that fluctuates throughout the year, of course, but right now we have friends and clients and fitness pals from all over the world. Some legal and some illegal. To me, doesn't matter. JP has been a permanent resident for 12 years, and yesterday he started the legal process to become a citizen of the United States of America. By the end of 2018, he will be a citizen because even though we're getting married next year, I wasn't going to let him just marry into citizenship. He wants it for himself. He does. Patricia came to the United States when she was 25 years old. She is now 31. Patricia grew up in Venezuela, and during her childhood, the Venezuelan government was flourishing. The people were working, making money, and it was a safe place to live. She grew up higher middle class. Her mom owned a pharmacy. She had 2 sisters, one with special needs, and her dad also had a very successful career. She grew up playing tennis, a sport that not everyone could afford, and she played competitively all around the world. All of her trips were paid for because Venezuela had a good, stable economy at the time. She also played a sport called squash, which also involves a racket, and that's all I know about that sport. She said the trip that changed her life is when she went to France and Amsterdam after she became the #1 tennis player in 23 states of Venezuela at the age of 18. She was trying to communicate with the residents, and she said, I wasn't able to connect with anyone because I didn't know English. And she said, this trip changed my life. She went back to Venezuela and started looking at programs where she could come to the United States on a student visa and learn English. That's when she learned English at UNCW. She joined the ECL program. And at this time, about 6 years ago, Patricia did not plan on staying here, but the Venezuelan government became so corrupt, and their inflation is the worst in the world, that people in her country are now dying from hunger due to the food shortages. Her mom's pharmacy has gone out of business, and she is now here trying to make a life for herself. When Patricia first came here, she was working as a waitress. Just recently, she was up to working 4 jobs. In the past month, she became a certified professional tennis coach, and in the next 2 weeks, she will be a personal trainer, certified in the United States of America. Patricia lost 30 pounds in her last 2-year journey at Rebecca's Fit, JP's gym. Patricia is competing in races and winning in her age group when just 2 years ago she was 30 pounds overweight. This is not someone who is lazy. This is someone who came to this country to better her life. America, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Laszlo came to the United States of America when he was also 25 years old. He is now 41. Laszlo first came to the United States as a member of the Ringling Brothers Circus, one of the best circuses in the world. He was born in Lima, Peru, and his grandfather started a circus in Hungary and then met his grandmother in Peru, and they traveled all around the world. When Laszlo was 5, starting the circus, he truly enjoyed coming to the United States because he felt the diversity of culture here made this country more special than the rest. When he was 25 and moved to the United States, he bought a landscaping company in South Carolina in cash and has owned that company for the past 10 years. He is now looking to buy his second company, also in cash. America, are you seeing what I'm seeing? John came to the United States when he was 17 years old. I'm going to be honest with you, his name is not really John, but I can't divulge his identity because he came here as what we call an illegal immigrant from Mexico. John paid almost $12,000 to cross the Mexican border because his country, Mexico, was so unsafe that he had to find safety. John is now 28 years old. He works 7 days a week. He is a roofer working for several companies because there is not one day that goes by where this person is not working. He's on a hot roof during the summer. He's on a cold roof in the winters. But it doesn't stop there. In his little free time, he is competitively racing in marathons and triathlons. He's always placing in the top for his age group. America, are you seeing what I am seeing? The statistics are what they are, but these stories are more than just numbers floating in the media. The stories of these 4 immigrants tell the same tale of several others. They come here not because it's easy, not because it's cheap. They come here for hard work, to challenge themselves and better their lives. They come here and they learn English, our language. They participate in society. They work several jobs, way more than 40 hours a week. They own businesses. They are here contributing. Whether they come legally or illegally, I don't judge them because I would do the same thing. They come here to better their lives, find safety and freedom. They want their children to have a better life than they did. They attend college, they start families here, and they end up rising to the top like the 40% of these 514 companies. America, when you are listening to conversations about immigration, or you're faced with a vote, or simply taking a stance on the topic, please remember the stories about JP, Patricia, Laszlo, and John. I hope that you see what I see. Questions?
I have a question, I have a comment. I just think America is a nation of immigrants. And if you're native, you're really an Indian, Seminole, Cherokee. And this is why America is so amazing. That fabric is so tight. But a lot of people in America don't understand. You weren't really born here.
Right.
You just, attrition, is that it? You just became because you found your way here. I am so proud to be an American, always have, and I understand. My grandmother drilled it in my head why we're here.
So true.
Will you define immigrant?
A person that moves to the United States from another country and is here as a citizen or not as a citizen, but has come from another country.
What about a child of an immigrant? Would you consider them an immigrant?
Not technically.
Okay.
I would say they were children.
Are you talking about a child that came with the parent or was born here after the parent came?
Good question.
Born of the
Then no.
immigrant. They would not be an immigrant.
Not to me personally.
Okay,
I don't know
yeah.
the technical definition, but yes.
That sparks me to ask the question about the difference in our national discussion between a refugee seeking asylum and an immigrant, like some of the examples who, you know, had a lot of benefits and advantages, but came here because they wanted to change their lives or to learn English or for whatever, but they weren't seeking asylum. And I think that's where apparently it's getting tricky, because so many countries in Central America are using Mexico as their gateway to get
Correct.
here, but they have drug gangs threatening their lives, you know, raping their daughters. They have to get away.
To think that somebody has to be that desperate to get here, they have to go through that to get here, makes it even more powerful.
It does. It
I
does.
just, that's why I could never look down on someone that comes here illegally because they're desperate. I would do the same thing. How could I ever judge that person?
So, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree, but I'm also thinking about some of my other friends who are immigrants who are upset by the illegal immigrants because they had to pay $10,000 to $20,000 to become citizens, and then these other people have come in and they're getting the same, well, they're not really getting the same, but they say they're getting the same benefits that they were getting without having to go through the process.
Well, they're paying the 10 or 20,000. It's just at the border.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I mean, I understand. So so that's what you would give, that's the logic you would give them for that?
I think everyone pays.
Mhm.
It's just who are you paying? You know, it might not go to the United States, but then you have people like my friend John, who
Right.
gets pulled over once or twice a month for not having an ID, and guess what? The cops know which vehicles. He actually has 2 vehicles that he drives, that he's paid for in cash, because again, he can't have a bank account.
Right.
And he knows he's gonna get pulled over in certain areas, so he'll switch vehicles, and every time he gets pulled over, it's $300 for not having his ID. But he doesn't know how to become legal at this point, especially with what's going on right now, because he's been here for 11 years. And that's his biggest challenge that he faces. But he works and he contributes and he deserves to be here.
That's a great point. Do you think it's more difficult now for somebody to become a legal citizen as opposed to maybe
Yes,
5 years ago?
yes. And especially considering all of the media's attention on it, I think everybody's kind of strapped down. Even JP went yesterday and he had to pay, you know, several $1,000s. And he's been here 12 years as a permanent resident. You know, he did not come here legally, and he still has to pay several thousand and go through an attorney.
Right.
He can't do it himself
Oh, I know,
because it's
yeah.
become more difficult.
I get it. I don't understand why this money, at 10, 20, 30,000, who's making this money? Attorneys
Yeah.
or the government?
Attorneys.
The attorney was only 20% of what JP had to pay yesterday.
What was the other, what did the 80% go to?
The government,
Really?
Are these-
correct.
Just processing fees and
Apparently.
paperwork.
Are they printed that you see and know what you have to pay in advance?
Yes.
So I had another question. I ran into the problem a few years back. State troopers weren't picking them up when they're illegal, but are they required to pick them up today if they have an infraction? So why is John being picked up in South Carolina? He must have a clean record. What would be the reason why ICE would pick him up, toss him in, and get rid of him?
Because he stands out.
But if he
They're
had some kind of record.
profiling.
They're profiling.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's currently driving one vehicle with an Alabama license plate.
Well, and maybe this is a comment too, but I think the Muslim factor is poisoning the water here, and the government is just characterizing Muslims as terrorists. And so there's this blanket thing about immigrants
Yes.
being a threat to us,
Yes.
and it really reflects on the others. And you gave some wonderful statistics at the beginning. I can only imagine what easy tiny percentage of
I mean, in the
People
prisons,
are
if
fled.
15% of them are people that have moved here from other countries and everyone else is a US born citizen, I don't think that they're the problem.
So in answer to your question, that's it. That's what America's saying.
Yeah.
there you go.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Well done.